Hello, I'm Doug, and welcome to the Crew of Japan podcast, a weekly podcast where we take you on audio journeys through Japanese culture.
This time on Crew of Japan podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. Finally, after a long and somewhat unexpected hiatus due to work, life, and house drama, we are back, baby. Speaking of houses, we love exploring real estate and houses in Japan. Back in Season 3, we sat down with Ziv Nakajima Magen to talk about buying real estate in Japan, and just last season, we chatted with architect Asby Brown about the architectural designs of Japanese homes. But today, we're going to switch over to one of the more popular topics involving Japan's housing scene, the growing phenomenon of Akiya, abandoned homes that sit empty all across the country. Joining us today is Anton Wörmann, a Swedish model turned content creator who traded in the runways of Paris, Tokyo, and New York for carpentry tools and renovation projects in Japan. Through his YouTube channel, Anton in Japan, and his book, Free Houses in Japan, he's inspired millions of viewers and readers around the world by showing how these foreign properties can be given a second life. In our conversation with Anton, recorded back in April, he takes us through his personal journey of how he ended up in Japan and why Akiya became his passion. Along the way, you'll hear what Akiya actually are and why Japan has millions of them sitting around.
When people think of Akiyas, people think of it as Akiyas in the countryside, but there is an Akiya about 100 meters away from Roppongi Crossing. There is 52,000 Akiyas in my area in Setagaya. So they're basically all over the place. They're everywhere.
What really happens when you buy one, including inheriting everything left behind inside the house.
There was a hidden door on the backside, and we found about 600 LP vinyl. I'm not a vinyl fan, but it was really cool to find like someone's old stash of vinyl.
The surprising rewards and challenges of DIY renovations in Japan, including how undertaking one of these projects can make you part of the community.
Rather than thinking about like, okay, you want to buy an Akiya to buy an Akiya, you want to buy an Akiya because you like the area this Akiya is in. So you're buying a ticket to join the community.
And so much more. Anton's story is equal parts cultural insight, real estate adventure, and DIY creativity. And it just might not only change the way you see Japan's housing landscape, but also inspire you to look into buying one of these empty homes. Let's go. Finally learning Japanese, but worried you'll end up just mumbling arigato or konnichiwa forever? Don't worry, NewOrleansJapaneseLessons.com has you covered. Classes are led by Romy Sensei, a native Japanese speaker with over 20 years of teaching experience. She's been teaching online since before it was trendy. 2014, baby! Plus, her classes are super small, 6 people max, so you'll actually get to speak and get real feedback, not just sit there quietly wondering if you're butchering the word ramen. Romy Sensei's lived in New Orleans for over 15 years, and personal friends of mine have taken her classes. They seriously rave about how fun, clear, and downright awesome she is. Why keep telling yourself, I'll start learning next week in English, when you could just say it in Japanese and actually follow through with it at the same time? Check out NewOrleansJapaneseLessons.com, that's lessons with an S, and get started today. Are you new to the crew? Yokoso! We hope you enjoy this episode. If you like what you hear today, then you'll really love our back catalog of episodes from earlier this season and previous seasons. We've had some incredible guests, like architect Asby Brown breaking down Japanese homes and architecture, journalist and author of Tokyo Vice Jake Adelstein investigating Yakuza, former Enka singer Jerome White Jr., aka Jetto, sharing his love for Enka and stories about his career, and so much more. After you finish up this episode, hit that subscribe button or follow or whatever it is, and get notified when new episodes come out. Then while you wait for the new episode to drop, play catch up with the crew. But before you do any of that, let's dive into today's episode. All right, Jen, we are here with another... We don't do morning podcasts very often.
No, we don't.
But we do every once in a while, at least maybe once or twice a season. So my voice may sound a little bit deeper than normal.
I haven't had my coffee yet, but we're going to do it.
We got this. But we have an amazing guest with us today, all the way from Tokyo. Anton in Japan joining us. So Anton, welcome to the Crew of Japan podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, and good morning, New Orleans. We've had a fantastic day here in Tokyo today, and I'm excited to talk about life in Japan with you guys.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you. I know we've been talking back and forth for a while, and it's great that we could finally work some time out and sit down with you. So we're really excited about that.
I'm super excited as well. Let's make a great podcast together.
Let's do it. So usually what we do when we start off, we have a little icebreaker. We like to ask our guests if they've ever been to New Orleans, or if they haven't, what's the first thing they think of when they hear New Orleans? So have you?
I have never been to New Orleans. I've been to I might come off as rude by answering this, but I know New Orleans from I think it was Donald Duck when I was a kid.
Huh?
They had these
Okay.
like the boats with the really old boats
Like
with
the steamboats?
Oh, the
the
steamboat.
steamboats. We don't have them in like with the turbines.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that is also the Katrina, the hurricane, right?
Oh, okay. We don't get that one often, Doug.
Yeah.
And then the steamboat thing, that's very brand new. You were the first one, Anton, to even say that.
But I don't know anything else about New Orleans, so yeah, fill me in.
Well, if you're a fan of architecture, it's definitely a city that has a wide variety of styles. You can go from one neighborhood to another, and it's just completely different styles of architecture. So I think you would, if you're a fan of homes and all that kind of stuff, I think you would really enjoy just driving down St. Charles, which is like one of the main streets in the city, or going through the French Quarter and seeing all the older architecture. I think you would really appreciate that.
Fantastic. And what's the population of New Orleans?
Ooh.
That's a first. We've never been asked that.
Ooh. I didn't do my homework. I want to say, hold on, as I'm buying time to pull up Google and Wikipedia.
Okay, so I have that it's 300,000, like around 300,000, like 350,000, something around there.
Yeah. I was about to say, it used to be a
And
lot
that's
more
just in New Orleans.
pre-Katrina.
Yeah, so it's smaller than my hometown in Stockholm.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to the Japanese cities lately, and even the smaller Japanese cities are like bigger than my entire country. So we have something in common.
Well, let's ask you about your Japan journey. You know, I did read some of your book. I haven't finished it yet, unfortunately, but I did read some of your book, and I do know how you got there, but maybe some of our listeners don't. So can you let us know, how did you get to Japan? And how did you end up there and decide to live there and then start pursuing Akiya and home restoration projects in Japan?
So I'm born and raised in Sweden. And when I finished high school, I started working as a fashion model. And I kind of traveled around all over Europe. Like every second month, I was in Paris or Milan or London. And then I spent a fair amount of time in New York as well. And I always had this big dream of New York being my place to be. I had a lot of fun living there, but in 2015, I was called to come to Japan for about 2 months to work on a short-term modeling contract. So my agency brought me to Tokyo. I stayed in a tiny model apartment in Roppongi, right on the opposite side of the Mercedes-Benz showroom that is now under renovation. But I stayed there for about 2.5 months, and it really blew my mind. I knew nothing about Japan before that trip. I thought Japan and Korea, China, it's probably about the same kind of country. I came here underprepared. I was very well taken care of. The food was great. It was safe. I had so much fun. And every day was an adventure for my 75 days I spent in Tokyo. And I left and I told my agency that I have to come back. Please bring me back next year again. And they did. The second time I came, I also stayed in Roppongi, in Nogizaka, next to that Mercedes-Benz showroom. And at that time, I started playing with the thought of moving to Japan for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And I came one more time for another 2-month contract, but in 2018, I got my first Zairyu Kado, my first residence card. Mm-hmm. And I moved to Japan October 2018, and I've been here since.
So what then led you to want to...
Yeah, how did you go from model to home restoration? That's a leap.
It is a big leap, but I think in one way it goes hand in hand. Like, I'm Swedish. We have kind of a similar culture when it comes to home renovations and real estate investments. We see it as an appreciating asset, a house, and the older the better. If you would live in any kind of metropolitan in the world, Like an older house has usually a higher value due to the location and due to that it has character in a way. If I would be in central Stockholm, like the best locations are usually they have an old house like on the best plots of lands, right? Historically as well. And I did modeling, right? So I worked 2-3 times a week. I have no university degree, and I've been renovating and DIYing since I was a kid. And after living in so many different bigger cities, I came to Japan. I knew I wanted to stay in Japan. And when I was about to find my own apartment to stay in, I was shocked that you had to pay so many months in advance. It's this shikikin, reikin, key money, chukai tesuru. It was like a year's payment up front to stay in a $1,000 apartment. That would be like 12K just to move in. Like fees that you would never get back in a rental apartment that like in Europe or the US, it would be the other way around. The owner would be grateful. Okay, thank you so much for renting my place. Now pay me the rent. And that's it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Here's the other way around. Thank you so much for letting me stay in your place. And give, like, what is that even, you know? And this is just something that, to me, as a foreigner in Japan, this is just a crazy thing that Japanese people also think is crazy. And Japanese people don't want it, but no one is doing anything about it. So I knew I wanted to stay and live in Japan. And I knew how to do DIY renovations. I've like renovated places before. That's my entire childhood. So I started playing around with the idea of what if I buy an apartment in Tokyo? And I met this crazy Canadian dude that kind of became my senpai. He kind of like started putting fuel into the fire of that crazy idea. So I went to look at a few different really cheap places, like in the bigger picture. Like I lived in London, like there's no way you can buy a place for less than $100,000. Not even in Paris, not even in my home country or in my hometown in Stockholm. Like I couldn't even buy a parking lot for that kind of money.
Right.
And I had some money saved up from modeling. That's a very important detail, I think. I came to Japan. I knew I wanted to live in Japan, and I found a really cool place close to Shibuya for 14 million yen, which is about 90,000 US dollars. And I bought it, and I was very scared. And all my Japanese friends, they were so against it. They were like, "Oh, you're never gonna get your money back, and this is a shithole. So like, you're not gonna be able to make this place nice again." But I think that's when I kind of realized that there is no culture when it comes to renovation. It's you build a brand new house, then you live in that brand new house without maintenance until it's ready to be torn down again 30 or 40 years later.
Yeah.
And I bought an old house that was 30 years old, prime location, really cheap, but I just fixed it up. And when it was done, like the biggest Japanese celebrities came to shoot as a shooting location.
Wow.
And that's when I thought like, oh, maybe I'm onto something. Like I spent like $15,000 in renovation, put plywood up on the walls, but it still has the same aesthetics as my builds that I do now, but it was just like a light version of it.
Yeah, I was about to ask. I was going to say, like, how much did it cost? It was only $15,000?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it was mostly like trash disposal, and then I just put up plywood on the wall. It's an Akiya kitchen. All the furniture was recycled. I built a staircase in plywood. I got a bed from someone on Craigslist. Like it's just like super minimal, and it feels like a home, which it didn't before. And I liked it. My tenant now loves it. Japanese media loved it. So I thought I was like onto something at that time.
Yeah, clearly you were. Clearly you were.
But this all at the same time while I was doing modeling 2-3 times a week. My managers, they hated it though, because I came with like dirt under my fingers and Eddie, and they were not a big fan of my journey at that time. I had a center right next to the apartment, which was very convenient because I didn't have running water in that building.
Oh.
Yeah, because I pulled out the pipes and then I was waiting for the plumbers. And
Gotcha.
And you don't want to live in your renovation.
Yeah.
Been there, done that, and it's really not healthy.
I can see how. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Various
might be
reasons.
going through that soon. So
Don't.
not looking forward to that.
Can I give you an advice regarding that? It might be worth finishing it off as fast as you can.
Definitely good advice. We did some renovations back in 2021. And this is in our current home that we live in, where we're redoing all the bedrooms in our upstairs area, flooring and painting, basically, and then moving a couple walls, and that's about it. And we had so much crap in all of these rooms, and we had to constantly shift them from room to room so that people can work on top of, my wife, myself, and our 2 kids living in the house. And it was just a nightmare. Just a night. It was in the middle of the summer, and they were, having to rip out like insulation and sheetrock to kind of remove stuff.
Yeah.
And so the heat was coming in from the attic. Yeah, not great. Not great.
Not great. And I realized many of these things is like things that is out of your control.
Yeah.
And that makes it even more stressful in a way.
Mhm.
If it's within your control, you're like, you will do something about it. But when you're reliant on contractors, it's very stressful, I feel.
Very much. Very much.
Yeah.
And you're known for taking these Akiya and turning them around. Could you explain to our listeners who maybe have never heard the term before what it is and why Japan has so many?
So an Akiya, it means, Aki basically means open, and ya means shop, or in this case, house. So Akiya, so like a vacant house, basically.
Mm-hmm.
There's no good translation to this word in English other than vacant house. So people have taken this kind of out of concept, maybe I'm one of them, and turning it into abandoned homes, which is what many of these Akiyas are. So there is about 9 or 10 million vacant homes in Japan.
Oh my God.
By 2033, there will be 21.8 million. That's the predictions of vacant homes.
Wow.
In reality, I would say about 20 to 30% of these vacant homes are actually abandoned and no one is taking care of them. But there's also, historically, there's just too many houses and too many apartments in Japan. So it's really easy to find, and it's really easy to move, even a city like Tokyo. In comparison to a city like Paris or Stockholm or London, it can be really hard to find accommodation, especially if you're a foreigner. But Japan has an oversupply of housing. And this, in combination with the declining population, it just puts fuel to the fire. And the population is declining rapidly. And as a result, there is an abundance of abandoned and vacant houses in Japanese called akiyas. And it's a growing societal problem. When people think of akiyas, people think of it as akiyas in the countryside. But there is an akiya about 100 meters away from Roppongi Crossing. There is 52,000 akiyas in my area in Setagaya. So they're basically all over the place. They're everywhere. And this is something that no one has really been talking about in the kind of extent that it should have been talked about, because there's been a lot of problems when it comes to the declining population. Not only akiyas, there are businesses going under. There is they need to give incentives for like getting the birth rate up again. Like there are many pieces to the puzzle, and akiyas is a direct consequence of the declining birth rate, and that's what an akiya is basically.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine, especially like when older people are, as they're getting older, they can't take care of themselves as easily as they could previously. They move in with their kids or something like that. So what do you do with that home? And I feel like that's probably where a lot of this comes from, right?
Yeah, there are many layers to it. Like one thing that I find fascinating is the obsession with something new among Japanese people. Even when you look at the real estate market, they have words for, the word for an older house is called used house. So someone has used your house before you. And that's hontoni dame desu ne. Like that's really, it's been taboo.
Right.
So the houses have been been sold for almost nothing, and the value has been in the land up until very recently. The amount of renovation companies is growing. Mm-hmm. So people have been obsessing with buying something brand new. You want to buy a brand new house. In addition to that, Japanese people work very hard. The population in Tokyo is not necessarily declining, so people from the countryside is moving to Tokyo. If they work 6 days a week, their parents pass away, they have a full house filled with things, and the house itself is only worth $1,000 or $2,000, and maybe the land is worth about the same. It has no monetary value for them to go there, clean it out, and then sell it, right?
Right.
So there's so many layers to the problem. I have a friend who is specialized in Akiya brokerage, and he gets houses and he actually gets money from the owner as well. Here, take care of my abandoned house. Take care of my childhood Akiya, and I'll give you $10,000 on top.
Oh, wow. And it's just like to maintain it?
No, just like
or is
you
it to
get
like
it.
get rid of it?
It's not my problem anymore, and you get $10,000.
Wow.
So
Sounds like a
there's so
great.
many layers. Yeah, it's there. Everything is backwards when it comes to Akiyas, unless you can create value by buying this asset or buying this problem off from the original owner.
Well, yeah, I feel like too the disposal of a lot of the garbage, like you said, a lot of it is cleaning out all the
Yeah.
stuff that's left in there, getting rid of especially bigger pieces of furniture or items like that. You have to pay
Yeah.
to get rid of that. You can't just toss it, can't put it on the curb. Like here, I could put a chair or a desk on the curb and someone will come by and pick it up and like they'll restore it or do whatever. But
Yeah.
like you said, there's that fascination with new. No one really wants the old.
Which I find surprising with the whole like Japan being so thrifty with like Book Off and,
Yeah.
all these like thrift stores that they have and even like clothing stores being thrift. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, and then when you think about like, I mean, you're in the Japan social media world as well somehow, and people are like, oh, okay, in Japan, kintsugi, you like the art of fixing things and the art of sustainability and the art of
Mhm.
taking care of everything that's around you. And there's I think that's one of the reasons why I love Japan in the first place. There's like an underlying respect towards everyone around you, that you take care of the streets and you keep it clean and you don't want to upset someone. But then at the same time, when it comes to like sustainability and when it comes to like recycling, they have the Toto toilets that recycle things like the way they sort trash, right? But when it comes to the biggest purchase of your life, a house, that's allowed to be demolished and just thrown into the garbage like every 25 or every 30 years. It's kind of a weird thought to me.
Yeah, it's almost contradicting like a bunch of other values that they have.
But I think this is a recent thing, and I think this is just me personally thinking. But I think this is a recent thing that there is with the declining population, there's so many other layers to it in a way as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, one other thing that I wanted to ask you then, because, if there are so many Akiya out there, I feel like now, especially more recently since the spotlight has been kind of put on Akiya and their availability, if someone was looking to purchase one,
Yeah.
what is the process of going about doing that? You had your friend that's a broker, someone just comes and pays him to take the property off their hands. But are there other resources out there, agencies that you may recommend? Now, we spoke with Ziv Nakajima again back a couple seasons ago, and I know he has his Nippon Tradings International business that he works with people. I know that recently they had a website, Akiya Mart, that popped up. That's another great resource. But, whether they're international or, maybe a domestic person living in Japan, like how do they go about making one of these purchases?
So I think it's a very good question. And I think the one thing that people get wrong with Akiya is about buying an Akiya just to buy an Akiya, because they cannot afford a house in their home country. So they just want to buy an Akiya. But it doesn't make sense if you cannot spend time and be in Japan. Like if you're
Right.
not in Japan and you want to buy an Akiya, maybe you have the vision and maybe you have the intention of being in Japan. But if you buy an Akiya just to keep it an Akiya, it just doesn't make sense, right? If you buy it, then you're responsible for it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think rather than thinking about like, okay, you want to buy an Akiya to buy an Akiya, you want to buy an Akiya because you like the area this Akiya is in. So you're buying a ticket to join the community.
Yeah.
That's how I see the Akiya purchase thing as.
Ah.
If you don't have time to spend there, maybe you can be creative and maybe you co-share with someone. But if you like the area, then just go and talk to local brokers and talk to local people in that area. And obviously that might not be possible in a prime location like Ginza or Setagaya or elsewhere. But if you provide and if you show up and if you show that you are interested, I think there's a lot of opportunities that will be given to you. Like, and I know people who bought Akiyas, they've renovated them, they've spent a lot of time, and then the neighbor comes and just gives them their house too. Yeah, it's a thing,
Wow.
And that's exactly like I bought when my first apartment was done renovated, I wanted to keep renovating. And that's how I stumbled upon Akiya in early 2020. So I bought that house and I renovated it for about 6 months. And there were 4 other Akiyas in my neighborhood. And then I just approached the owner and like, yeah, we've seen you renovating. Do you want to buy this one too? And then I got that one, and then I got my neighbors too. So now I have 3 houses literally right next to each other. Just because you're there, you spend time there, and you respect the surroundings. You know the Kinjo Kaicho. You know the 85-year-old Shimada-san who lives right next to you. And people talk, right? Yeah, that's a good guy. That's a good foreigner. Yeah, he makes it nice. He utilizes the thing that's once forgotten and whatnot, you know?
And also, I feel like too, you're changing the image of that area, like by investing in it, by putting into it. That maybe people don't think to do that because it's just not common. But by doing that, it's all of a sudden people look around and say, "Oh, this is like really nice in our community," you know.
And something is happening. Like I have a lot of guests, like because I run this short-term rental like boutique brand, and we have a lot of like families staying, and there's literally only old people on my street. And whenever there's like babies crying, like I always get messages, or like the neighbors are like, "Oh, it's so nice to have kids around," like, and they comment about it. It's not in like a negative way or anything. It's like it's so nice to hear babies scream.
As a mother, I can tell you, I do not have that same feeling.
But if you haven't heard babies scream for the past 20 or 30 years,
yeah, I guess so.
It's something sad about it, but something really beautiful about it at the same time, I feel.
Yeah, you're bringing new life to the community.
Yeah, I guess that's the better call than the, hello, I'm calling for noise pollution.
That as well. The neighbors, they always have my back. So
That's good.
That's good.
Well, getting back to your renovations, have you ever faced like any unexpected challenges or roadblocks when acquiring these houses? Like legal issues, like any property problems that were hidden from you, or even like cultural barriers?
Oh, every day.
Every day.
Like my Japanese is fairly good. I get along. I do a lot of media in Japanese, and I used to do content creation in Japanese as well. So I think that helps a lot. But even so, I think first of all, there's no culture among renovation in Japan. So finding good and reliable labor, especially when you want to renovate an old house on a budget. Even if I would do this in the US or back home in Sweden, it would be hard to find reliable labor sometimes.
Right.
And in Japan, with this declining population and then the labor shortage on top of that, it's hard. It's hard. What shocked me the most in the beginning is trash disposal.
I can imagine.
Getting rid of things here is, I spent like, during COVID, they had these rules from the municipality about, okay, you can come and throw things away, but you got to come in like 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 weeks. I don't remember. So I had to pre-book, and then I had to have my bed frame in the entrance for like 2.5 months because I couldn't like use the official system to throw it away. So I found through my local tatami guy, electrician, and the lumbers that I always work with, they introduced me to a place that I could throw away trash. So I had to sign a manifest every time. But I don't have a car, so I need to go and rent a car, fill the car with all the trash, sort it, and then I have to go and throw it away. And it's not cheap.
Ugh.
So it's a mission to throw away trash. It just doesn't go away by itself, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people think I can just sell it to somebody. Yeah. Someone will buy it from me. And you don't realize how hard it is. Like this kind of comes back to buying new things. When I had to clear out my apartment I did 3 years on Jet. So obviously I accumulated stuff, crap over 3 years that I had to get rid of at the end because it had to be bare bones by the end, just floor and walls, like nothing else. I had a bed, I had a sofa, I had TV stands and desks and things like that I bought, like nothing major, but I brought a sofa to Hard Off and I'm like, okay, first of all, I had to somehow squeeze it into my Subaru.
Yeah.
And then take it over there. And I mean, they basically told me, you would have to pay us to take this. Yeah. We're not going to pay you. And I'm like, wait, you're Hard Off. You buy stuff. There's things in worse condition than this. And like, no, you would have to pay us. I'm like, okay. And then eventually one of the other Jets in my area ended up needing a sofa. And I was like, hey, here, I'll give it to you. It's free. Just take it. I don't have to pay anything. You can have it.
That's my trick to people who want, like, just get rid of everything for free. If you just put look at the cover of my book. If you put free somewhere, people's eyes are gonna go there. And even if they don't want it, it's like part of their brain is like, well, it's free. Okay.
You start justifying why you can use it or how you can use it.
Yeah.
there is something psychological with it. So like I've given away toilet seats, like really old toilet seats. I kind of like it in a way because I feel like it gives new life to something that's sometimes shouldn't have a new life. But
Yeah.
getting rid of things here is definitely a pain.
Yeah, for sure. I hear you. And I was just talking about like a sofa or a few things, but I
Yeah.
mean, an entire house would be just insane to get rid of like all those things.
Uh-huh.
So I can only imagine that's a heavy lift.
I mean, Anton, have you ever found like any treasures that you yourself like were like, ooh, I see value in this, and you kept it?
Yeah, many times. Like in the beginning when I did my renovation, it was always like, okay, I saved too many things. It's like, okay, all these junk that you just accumulate in an old house that you get when you buy the house. And then you just, during renovation, you just shovel the things around the house. I probably moved these like cabinets. I had two beautiful wooden cabinets for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months. And I just shuffled them around the house like over and over and over. And at one point I was like, I really should get rid of these. They're just in the way.
Yeah.
And I threw them away. But I found in my Chiba farmhouse, like that was pretty insane. There was so many weird and cool things in there. But the most memorable one was my Sangenjaya house one, because there was a hidden door on the backside, and we found about 600 LP vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not a vinyl fan, but it was really cool to find like someone's old stash of like vinyl. It had a beautiful book with like everything kind of archived, beautiful, and you could tell that someone really took care of these vinyls. So
Wow.
I have them at my friend's record bar. I have a really exciting project coming up starting in July, and we found there's probably about 10 musket like rifles
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
on the wall. It was owned by a Japanese billionaire. Like we haven't started the renovation or anything yet, but it's a super unique house. And it's just guns and rifles and crossbows and things everywhere. It's really cool. But it's also a little like we had to call the cops and they came to take the guns and everything away. Not to spoil too much, but there will be content coming on YouTube at some point.
Ooh, fun and exciting.
I'm super excited about that one.
So I do have a question before we move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So I think I saw a couple of your videos where you had like the little squares on the ground that have like the little like ring. You pick it up and it's like subfloor storage.
Yeah.
Is it most of the time when you open those up and you look in there? Is it mostly just like junk, or do you like is that where you found the vinyl, like in that one of those areas?
So the storage is like it's like an old fridge.
Yeah.
You only find gnarly stuff in there, really. I found like a six pack of like Suntory like beer glasses that I gave to. I did a story for Metropolis magazine, a Japanese like lifestyle magazine, and I gave that 6 pack to one of the editors. She was very happy about it. But usually that's not where you find the good stuff. I've never really found like any cash or anything, unfortunately. But beautiful kimonos, they're great gifts. I like old, really nice Japanese furniture. It's always nice to reuse. And I have a project now that's going to go live as a short-term rental. I'm calling it the Museum, Sangenjaya Museum, which is the third house in that little village. And I'm keeping basically most of the old interior and having like really old, like Showa style, sometimes even older, like paintings on the wall and an old like chabako, like the tea boxes in Pavlovnia and a lot of like retro details. A little different from my usual Japandi style, but
Oh, that sounds
nice.
cool.
You gotta like mix things up sometimes too. So
Sure. So what do you find when you're doing this DIY work? What do you find is the most surprising and rewarding? Obviously, you enjoy the turning things around and maybe finding some of these gems like you found in these homes. But what is the most rewarding aspect for you when you're restoring these homes?
That's also a very good question. One thing I really like about it is obviously the before and after. Like that's something that any kind of video creator can kind of relate to, but like the before and after in real life.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding. And you get caught up in this 8 month, this 1 year process of like these tiny, tiny decisions, everyday decisions. And then like 1 year later, you're like, oh, here we are. We made this.
Yeah.
It's such a rewarding process. And it's something I've always felt very proud of, I think, because I spent thousands of hours in my houses as well.
Sure.
And sometimes, like now, when one thing that I've kind of like contemplating about like the past few months is once you start touching and working on bigger and bigger houses, your taste over time, like I'm not a DIY guy anymore. Like I run like a little company in a way.
Yeah.
And my taste has gotten like so much more expensive. I'm not buying and doing something with the cheapest of the cheapest. I still buy like all the furniture and like all of this is still like recycled. It's just that it's not bought for $30. Like each chair is maybe $300, but that's still cheaper than the new price of $3,000, you know.
Right.
And the wood on the wall is like it's getting more and more luxurious. It didn't start there, but it kind of evolved there, and I think it like there's no way to get around it either in some
Yeah.
way. Like in order to keep me and my design sense kind of entertained as well. Like if you've built a wall in pine 2 times in a year, the third time like you want to switch it up a little bit, and then you buy Douglas firwood or you buy oak or something else that you like, right? You gotta tune a little bit all the time, right? But I think building and renovating a house, the entire process, it's very similar to making a video, I think. Like social media, because like you're kind of crafting and creating something. It's just that building a house is such a big process in a way. Like
Yeah.
making a video is like you have an idea of something and then you have an idea of the outcome, right? And then you work on it for, I don't know, a week or maybe a few days if it's a short. But a house, it's the same, but it's just the process of about
A
a
lot
year.
longer.
And it's
Right.
so much more expensive too. So
Yeah. Oh my God. Like I said, we're maybe doing this in the coming. We'll actually should be finding out within the next couple of days if it's going to be moving forward or stopping. But I'm just hearing all this, and I'm like, oh God, I have a long summer ahead of me.
but sometimes I've only done this as a DIY person. I think if you work with real pros, a real architect, I mean, obviously, like then you probably got to spend substantial amount of money. But
Yeah.
if you have the personality that you can leave things to the pros, maybe you get some peace of mind. Like it can be really stressful working with contractors, and especially if you don't know if they're gonna do a good job, if they understand you, if you're lining up on like material choices.
Right,
Sometimes
right.
like the tiniest little things can change a lot.
Right.
We put in new air conditioners in Sanginjaya Villa, which is like by far the most beautiful and the most expensive house I've ever built. I used to live in this house. This was the first Akiya that I bought. And the electrician, I love this guy, Matsumoto-san. But we decided we have toggle switches, which is like stainless steel switches for all the
Yeah.
lights. And we decided on like having the same kind of stainless steel plates for the consento, which is the outlets. But for the aircon outlets, you want them white, right? Because you don't want them to stand out. But he put the stain, like everything was white, like a beautiful white wall, beautiful white air conditioner, and then a stainless steel plate in the middle of the wall. And it was so ugly. So like he's my friend and he get it too. So like it was easy for him to change it. But if he would have just left, like I needed to call him again, you know?
Yeah, it's just minor things too. Like especially when you do like the final walkthrough of everything, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, everything looks great. And then yeah, you catch one or two things, you're like,
yeah, should I say something? Yeah, there's so many small decisions to be made all the time, which is, I think I kind of like that when I am in control in a way. Maybe you could say
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a control freak, but I've seen how architects work as well, and they're very planned. They're definitely more planned than I am. Definitely.
Well, you've talked about quite a few of your homes for like examples of different things that we've talked about. Which one has been the most challenging for you so far, and how did you overcome it?
I think it was my Sanginjaya house, which was the
Okay.
first house that I kind of showcased on social media when I started Anton in Japan about 2 years ago. So the house, I bought this one about 3 years ago, which was it was my neighbor's house. It was vacant
Yeah.
for I think 7 years with all the previous things inside, and this was where I found the vinyl. And this was the first house that had a lot of termite damage. This house was unregistered. It was basically a one-story house on paper, but in reality, it was obviously 2 stories. I didn't have my community and I didn't have my carpenters in place. I didn't know who to call for electricity. I didn't know who to call for anything really. I also didn't have any money either. Like, I bought this house together with my girlfriend in cash, and after we bought it, I had like $4,000 or $5,000 on my account. This was during COVID as well. And I had to be very cheap, but still I had to move it forward, right?
Right.
And learn how to do things. So I borrowed money from my sisters and my dad. And I think if I actually had money, I think the entire renovation would have taken half a year. But I wouldn't have learned what I learned today. And maybe I wouldn't be where I am today if I would have just paid to solve the problem in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I had to learn everything. Like, what is a concrete slab, and like what is termite damage? How do you prevent that? How do you build a new structure? How do you build a staircase? How do you do the plumbing? Are you like, there were so many things I had to learn just to overcome the obstacles, really.
And then on top of that, you had to learn how to communicate that in Japanese, right?
Oh yeah.
It's a whole bunch of different terminology and vocabulary that you don't learn in a textbook.
And the terminology of daiku and like real estate Japanese in comparison to the fashion world Japanese, like it's a different world.
Yeah.
And most Japanese craftsmen, they're kind of shy, and they have some special ways of interacting with people.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like the craftsmen I know, they never went to university, and they've been like crafts people since they were very young, and they're not really communicators. And on top of that, they have their terminology. So when my carpenters speak to each other, it's like every second word is probably a word that a normal Japanese person doesn't know about either. Because they're talking about issen, nissen, sansen, and then the length of the screws, or like where to buy what, and like things that no one is really using except the niched carpenters or the niched electrician. Or
Right.
Yeah. I totally sympathize with that because I just got a new job, and there's a bunch of terminology that like plumbers and AC people use, and I'm like, what the heck am I reading? So totally understand.
Yeah. And it's fun as well, isn't it?
It can be. It can be. Once you start getting it, you feel rewarded. But the stumbles, I'm sure, as you just said, like all those challenges, which that sounded like a lot of challenges to face all at once. But yeah, I'm glad you've overcome those because your work is just really great. So I'm so glad it worked out in the end, as hard as it probably was for you.
Yeah, but it's fun. If you have the chance, renovate an Akiya and spend a lot of time on it if you're about to.
Well, with some people who are interested in doing that, what do you think is the growth of an international market for IKEA buyers? Do you feel like it's increasing right now, or do you feel like there's still more room to grow?
Oh, it's increasing, and it's going to increase a lot. This is definitely a growing market. I'm pro and against it at the same time, I would say. For me, it was a great way to integrate into Japanese society. And I feel that if you're a renter, if you're a foreigner, versus actually buying into the community, like your neighbors will know that you are there for good. Like they have to treat you like a local, and maybe they will never because you don't understand Japanese, or maybe you don't understand the culture. But by you being there and trying to fix something up and actually giving, it's a great way to get into Japanese society. On the other hand, it's I know a lot of people buying Akiyas, they have a lot of problems with their neighbors. And if you buy into something, if you don't understand Japan, if you don't understand Japanese, if you buy into the community, you put all your assets into buying this old dilapidated house. And if you're not welcome, like, what do? On top of that, you cannot get a visa to stay in Japan just by buying an old house. So you gotta find another reason to come, or maybe you gotta settle for only being able to utilize it for 5 or 6 months a year. I don't know about the visa rules, but like Japanese population is declining. The amount of foreigners in Japan is growing. I was on a very big TV show just 2 weeks ago. I can't say more about it, but Japanese media is acknowledging it as well. The amount of foreigners here is growing rapidly. And I think many Japanese people are wondering, what are foreigners in Japan actually doing? What are we interested in? Especially if we move here,
Well, I feel like one reason a lot of people do undergo these types of projects is in part of like they see your projects, they see your work, they see your hard work and your content on YouTube and Instagram, which are both really fun channels to follow. So if you aren't following or subscribing right now, guys, if you're listening out there, should check it out for sure.
Anton in Japan.
Anton in Japan. There you go. But at what point did you decide that you're going to kind of document this? Or I guess where did content creation kind of start to align with your home renovation projects? Was it always kind of the vision, or was it something like, hey, you know what? This is really fun and maybe other people enjoy it too as you're going through it? You realize that, or was it kind of a plan?
So I initially started making content in Japanese to improve my Japanese and to improve my Japanese. So I started off about 4 years ago making content in Japanese and documenting the house renovation in Japanese. But that was like, it never took off. I had like 120,000 subscribers on my Japanese channel. So like I was known as the weird foreigner renovating Akiyas in Japan as well, and speaking in broken Japanese and whatnot. And then at some point, by the end of that renovation, which was the Sangenja house, I was a little bit tired. I'd done it for about 2 years. And I thought about maybe I should just make a channel for foreigners interested in this. Like you understand like what it takes to renovate. And when I say you, like us, Europeans, Americans, we have this culture of home renovation. And on top of that, the information gap with Japan is massive. And people want to know what life in Japan is and what renovating in Japan is. And at that time, it was Tokyo Lama was the only guy, a guy who renovated a beautiful big house, I think in Ibaraki somewhere. Very slow watching content, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Very like easygoing, easy to watch. And I basically did what I already did on my Japanese channel, started new channels, and I made 2 videos and talking about this Akiya problem and then showing my renovated house. And I think I had like 200,000 subscribers on YouTube like a month later. And then I got that silver plaque. It was pretty intense, actually. Yeah. So with 2 videos, I had like 150,000 Facebook followers, and it was insane. And all the questions were the same over and over. How do you buy a house in Japan? What are the hardships? Like, how do you renovate? So I wrote a book about it.
Go read my book.
Yeah, 3 houses in Japan. But I basically just read the comments on all my videos. What do people want to see? And then I brought in my life story into it and answered basically all the questions that people had.
That's smart.
Yeah, but it was so time consuming.
Oh, I can imagine.
When you were writing, like I was up until 6, 7 in the morning just writing and editing, and my editors, they were based in Portland, Oregon. Mm-hmm. A lot of like time difference as well. But I wrote a book, and it's helped a lot of people succeed in what I'm doing and what they're doing. They managed to get like good houses and managed to find good, reliable labor. And it's sometimes very rewarding as well to read people's messages like, hey, I read your book and then this happened to me, or I read my book and then that happened to me. And people who can relate as well to some of the things, just being a foreigner in Japan. Just like simple stuff sometimes as well. Like, oh, there are no trash cans. Like I really felt like for that little tiny story about something that's completely unrelated to Akiyas, but people who just likes Japan seems to like it too. So
that's good. So in addition to Free Houses in Japan, your book,
yeah,
and then you wrapped up a couple other bigger projects recently, Japandi Village.
Yes.
I think you announced it. Was it in March? I think it was in March.
It was in March.
Yeah.
We had a really big party together with one of my sponsors, Yanmar. So we announced 150 people came. We had a big excavator in the garden and we played like UFO catcher. It was a lot of fun. So one of the old Hinoki wooden bathtubs functioned as a kind of like a tray where you had all the balls, and then it was very creative and a lot of fun as well. We had a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And it was an opportunity for your community to also interact and see what you've been working on, right?
Yeah. And more so that maybe because I've been working on so many projects, and even my close friends, seeing something in real life and seeing it online is just a different thing. It's a different beast.
Right.
And many of my friends who've been following like some of the projects online, they're like, oh, this is like you come there and then like it just clicks. Like, oh, now I understand what you've been talking about.
Yeah.
So that it was very fun to actually, first of all, see my friends. Second of all, just hang out with my friends, and then just show them what we've been working on for so long. It was a huge success, really big success.
I bet it was a nice kind of like wrap up and kind of cool down from just the intense work that probably went into it, right?
Yeah, totally. But
Yeah.
we're still not done. That's the thing. Like,
Oh, of course.
when the houses are done, like Sangenja house has like 95% occupancy. So like I rarely get to see that house inside. And I know that Sangenja Villa, for example, who is to me even more beautiful, like we're gonna get a lot of bookings. And then we have the museum, which is also like, there's not gonna be an opportunity where all of them are free at the same time again.
Right.
So I would love to bring people to see Sangenja Villa when that's done, but that's probably going to be that alone, because probably the other houses won't be available at the same time.
Sure. So in addition to that, you also had the annual real estate summit that you spoke on with Ziv,
With
in
Ziv, yes.
Tokyo. That was a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So other than that, and you mentioned some other projects you have going on. You had an appearance on TV. Do you have any downtime? Do you have some free time to relax now, or?
Recently, no. Like right before this, I just confirmed speech in Denmark in about 1.5 months. So I just got some tickets to go to Denmark, and I'll probably go back home to Sweden. I haven't been home in about 2 years. It's been very overwhelming. It's been very fun being this busy. Like I've been a model for my entire life. Like I've just been hanging around and going to the gym and doing DIY. But now I feel like I'm doing something exciting that it's worth being up late at night for.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you get to go home, though, and see your family and relax a little bit there. Because I'm sure once you get there, it's like, okay, I can actually people are going to be like, oh, can we hang out? Can we hang out? Can we hang out?
Oh.
But, it'll be nice to see people you haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, especially like my family and like close friends as well. I don't know if you feel it like when you go to Japan or when you go back home again. Like there's always some people that you really want to see. And then there's some people that you're like, yeah, I would like to see that person. And then there are some people who are like, well, I don't really want to see them, but they want to see you because the messages are coming, right?
Right.
So you got to, especially if you only have like a week, you got to be really like resourceful with your time.
Right.
Maybe I sound like a jerk, but I think that's the reality, right?
No, I mean, I face that when I go back and visit friends and family in the summers. I'm only there for maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks. And you really have to, and not in Tokyo the whole time. I'm in Ibaraki or Fukushima or wherever. So I really only have very short windows, and I try to squeeze in as much as I can. Hey, lunch here, dinner there. But yeah, you have to really pick and choose and hope schedules align.
Yeah, totally. And grandparents as well.
Oh yeah,
gotta visit them. If you don't,
wow,
I know you're gonna be hearing about it.
Yeah, and a lot of it too.
Yes. Well, before we conclude, I do want to ask one more question.
Yes.
Do you have any advice for those who are interested in renovating Akiya or just homes in general around the world, especially those without prior construction experience? I feel like you're the person to ask for that advice.
It's a very honorable question, I think, or like that you're asking me, the non-architect. I would say start small. I think people tend to take on bigger projects than they realize. I would say start small and work with sunlight and work with natural materials and work with minimal spaces. You don't need much to create a beautiful space. If you have sunlight, natural wood, and white colors, that goes a long way. And it sometimes, like, less is more. That's what I would say. People sometimes try to over-engineer and like overdo things. And I think in most cases, you don't have to. You can work with what you have and just, there's a wooden beam, and why do you need to cover it? Just sand it and oil it up, or just put a piece of plywood up. It goes a long way, and it's very timeless too. Like wood has been around for forever.
Yeah.
Start small, use sunlight, and less is more. I think that's 3 pretty solid advice.
Yeah, I think that's actually really good advice, especially the first one. Start small. I think it's kind of like when you assign yourself goals, you always hear like you don't want to put your first goal as like the hardest, because then if you don't reach that goal, it's kind of hard to get back to being motivated. So I feel like it's kind of the same concept of like start small. So that way, you know, once you accomplish that one, okay, then maybe you can graduate to like a more medium size. And then like,
Because then you've learned like the skills that you've learned by doing that small project, like it will take you so much further in the next project, right?
You forgot one piece of advice, though.
I did.
Buy your book.
Oh,
my God.
buy my book. Or
Jesus.
I have another thing. We launched a masterclass.
Oh,
Oh, cool.
Even after the book, people have been like, okay, when can you start doing consulting? When can you help us out like for real? And I like, honestly, I would love to help more people, but I just don't have enough time.
yeah.
Right.
So me and Nick, who runs he's a real estate investor and runs a big production company in Los Angeles. He came to Japan, and over a course of 4 days, we had a big crew of people, and we shot a really high quality educational course together with real estate agents, Akiya brokers, Akiya communities, architects, and many other people who's integrated very, very well in Japan. And we went live like a soft launch about a month ago.
Oh, wow.
Like the post-production of this course took forever, but the content is great, and people are very happy and people like it.
You'll have to send that link to us so we can include it in our show notes.
Thank you very much. I think
Yeah.
your listeners will really like it. So
Awesome. Well, in addition to that, do you have any other things that you maybe want to call out before we close up and wrap up the show? Like your social media, you mentioned earlier, your YouTube, and anything else that you want to point out?
ooh, if you want to buy an Akiya, come to Japan. Good conclusion, maybe. Yeah, my name is Anton in Japan. Maybe all my links will be in the bio.
Yes.
They will.
If you're a little bit interested, buy my book. If you've read it already, get into the community and the masterclass. What else?
That's it. If that's all you got, that's all you got.
You just got to follow the journey, you
Follow
know?
follow the dream. Yeah, and enjoy the process. I think that's a thing that a lot of people want. I'm the same sometimes. You want it to happen, and you want it to happen now, right?
Yeah.
Especially when learning Japanese, or when you're looking for a house, nothing shows up, or when you're looking for a girlfriend, no one is there. Like when you're like, everything just takes time, you know.
Yeah. You're absolutely right about that. Absolutely right. Enjoy the process. I that is something you can apply to everything in your life, right? Not just home renovations. God, I'm not looking forward to that. I keep thinking in my back of my mind, this is like the timing of everything. I'm like, oh God, it's gonna be a long summer. But yeah, no, that is some great advice. And like I said, we'll have everything linked out in our show notes, so that way our listeners can go and find out more information about your social media, your YouTube, your book, and your masterclass.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
No, yeah. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. We've been trying to cover this subject for quite a while now, ever since we had that conversation in season 3. And I'm so glad we were able to finally get it done, because I've always had interest in this topic as well. So very beneficial.
Want to buy an Akiya, Jen?
I would like to. I mean, I don't know. It's so intimidating.
Well, a great place to start.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you do.
Yeah, that book.
Right
The
there.
book.
Yeah, it's available on Amazon. I think it's
Yeah.
like bestseller status in Japan at least. But
Oh, wow, really?
not sure about, probably not in the US. Like there's so many items.
Is it printed in Japanese as well? Or is it only in English right now?
It's not. It's I don't know how much I can talk about it, but I was approached by one of the bigger Japanese publishing companies, and we were about to do it, and then everything just sidetracked, and now we're writing something completely different.
Oh,
In Japanese, and this topic probably won't be translated into English, I think, because I don't see why a foreigner would like to know about these things that we're writing a book about. But it's not translated
Okay.
to English.
top secret. Top
Top
secret.
secret for now. I didn't reveal too much, I think.
There you go.
So it just gives our listeners incentive to follow you on social media, so that way they can find out what the secret could be.
And study Japanese.
And study Japanese too, right? Probably easy Japanese, because it's all my words, and I have my editor who's making me sound like a kid on purpose. Well, watashi is like with katakana and like things that like it's their way of
It's
marketing,
funny.
so it's fun.
Well, Anton, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been an absolute delight, and I know for sure I enjoyed it. Jen enjoyed it.
Yes.
But I know our listeners are really going to enjoy this.
Fantastic. I enjoyed it too, so thank you so much for having me.
And that's a wrap on this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning into the Krewe of Japan podcast. And again, welcome back to the back half of season 6. A huge shout out to Anton Wörmann for joining us for this episode to share his knowledge and experiences with us in bringing abandoned Japanese homes back to life. We explored the Akiya phenomenon, what comes along with these purchases, and the surprising joys and challenges of DIY renovations in Japan. If you want to keep following Anton's journey, check out his YouTube channel, Anton in Japan. Follow him on Instagram, and pick up his book, Free Houses in Japan, to dive even deeper into the world of Akiya. And a little bonus for all you listeners out there listening at the day of release, you might be just in time to attend Anton's live masterclass too. He has a separate masterclass available as well with prepared educational content, but this one is live. We'll have them both linked out in our show notes, along with all his other content. As always, if you enjoyed what you heard on this podcast today, make sure to subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and leave us a review. Every single one of those 5-star ratings and reviews helps others discover Krewe of Japan and helps us grow our global crew. You can also share your stories and experiences with us on social media. Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X. Just search for Krewe of Japan podcast to stay in the loop with future episodes, upcoming Japan Society events, and other Japan-related content. That's KREWEOFJAPAN, Krewe of Japan. Or maybe you want to reach out to us directly. Send us an email at kreweofjapanpodcast@gmail.com. Don't worry, I'm not going to spell it again, but we'd really love to hear from you. Once again, sorry for the long hiatus, but if you stuck with us through the end of this outro, we are back for season 6, and we can't wait to continue sharing these awesome journeys with you. But as for today, that's all we got. So until next time. Looking to start your own podcast and don't know what platform to use? Tell me about it. When we started the Krewe of Japan podcast, we tried a bunch of the big name recording platforms, but always came back to the one we're still currently using to this day, Zencastr. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. In addition to its high audio and video quality for podcast production, Zencastr provides a full suite of production tools to record, produce, and publish studio quality content from the comfort of your home. Just log in through your browser and start recording. It's that simple. For us, we simply send out links to our guests and they join the lobby. But before you know it, it's all done and you have your studio quality audio and up to 4K video right there ready for you right when you finish. The best part is having their multi-layered backups to ensure that your recordings are in the highest quality, regardless of anyone's internet connection stability. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcasts in one place and distribute to all the major destinations. It's really that easy. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code Krewe of Japan, KREWEOFJAPAN, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all of our podcasting and content needs. It's your time to share your story.